Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. DBC Football, Down by Contact, Episode 1.
Numero uno.
Yes, sir. Numero uno. We here at DBC Football are just a couple of crazed football fans who want to bring you some information on what's going around with the National Football League. I myself am one of the co-hosts, Dylan Jenkins. I'm a lifelong football fan who happens to love the Philadelphia Eagles, where I grew up. And I'm co-hosting here with Tom Stanley. Tom Stanley from New Jersey. However, even though he's from Jersey, he is a Trader and a Cowboys fan. Isn't that right, Tom?
That is true. I don't really think I'm a traitor, but
Well, you know,
I am a Cowboys fan.
You are wrong. So anyway, I started the site, the blog, and the podcast out of my absolute love for football. I started watching football at the age of 9. Had no idea that I'd be so passionate about it and just absolutely love it. But I did become obsessed with the Eagles in the Donovan McNabb era and NFL statistics as well. It eventually led me to fantasy football, which eventually led to me giving fantasy advice. In that, I decided, hey, let's kick this off. Let's start something up here. How about you, Tom? What prompted your love for football?
I mean, I was always playing video games. Me and my dad, we were always playing Madden and everything like that. So,
Did you always use the Cowboys?
No, I would.
You would use the Eagles, wouldn't you?
No, I can't remember who it was, but I would always use the best team. It was like Madden 05.
Madden 05. Man, those were the good years.
Probably like.
It was the year after the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, by the way.
I might have used like New England. Mm-hmm. Just because I wanted the best team and try to beat my dad, which I never could do.
Oh, your dad was good at video games.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's actually a lie, though. I did use the Eagles because I would always try to blitz with Brian Dawkins, even when I was playing coverage.
See, it's almost like
and he
you
would
should
beat
just be
me
an
every
Eagles fan.
Nah. that ship sailed a long time ago.
Now, what if the T.O. Eagles marriage had worked? Would you have stayed with Would you have rocked the Eagles gear?
I probably would have.
I know that you're a big Terrell Owens fan.
I am.
What's your opinion on him not making the Hall of Fame?
Collusion.
Collusion.
One word. That's all you need for it.
You hear that? You hear that? Fans, all one of you. Collusion.
He deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
All those important stats for a receiver, top 3, and I was in pretty much all of them.
Great. Anyway, so as I said, we're a podcast about football. We'll over the next coming months, we'll talk about the draft, we'll talk about the combine, free agency, and what we expect out of next season, leading up to fantasy advice and our weekly game picks. Here in episode 1, we're just going to give you an overview of what we do, and we're going to banter back and forth a little bit about the current state of the NFL. So, that being said, let's kick off with, what'd you think of the Super Bowl, Tom?
I was flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted.
That's the only word I can think of.
Good choice of word.
I sat on my couch for a half an hour out of the game wondering what I just watched.
Nice. That was after the game was over?
After the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like that.
I had actually switched. For the first time ever, I didn't plan on finishing watching the Super Bowl, and I was at a house party, and I started playing a card game. You know that one where there's a lot of inappropriate words on cards. I don't know about copyrights, but it was a fun game.
I know what you're talking about.
Great. And just so happened to be watching the game out of the corner of my eye, and slowly but surely, New England came back, and Atlanta blew their 25-point lead.
Yeah, that's what great teams do.
Yeah.
And that's what New England has been for better part of 15, 16 years.
Yeah, in the last 14 years, not very many different quarterbacks have started in the Super Bowl for the AFC.
Yep.
It's TB12, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and
great Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco from Delaware.
Elite.
The elite quarterback. All jokes aside. Anyway, so yeah, the Super Bowl was a little rough, especially if you were a Falcons fan.
It ended up being a good game though, but obviously,
Yeah, but if you're a fan of Atlanta, a lot of good things to look forward to. That's a pretty young team.
Oh yeah.
And Matt Ryan's really in his
He's
prime.
definitely a top 5, 6 quarterback in the league.
Yeah. Winning the MVP will do that for you.
It will.
Well, that's good. So the season winded down a little bit crazy. Didn't quite turn out as well as you would have liked for your Cowboys.
That is a fact.
That is a fact.
But just
how did they do? I forget.
We won the NFC East.
What'd you do in the playoffs? I can't remember.
We played a very good game against a very hot team.
That's good. That was the Jared Cook game, I believe.
It was.
Yes. That was an amazing throw and an amazing catch.
It was.
Great.
I can't deny that. As much as I hated it, it is what it is.
That's fair. No, it was a fun year. Didn't go very successfully for me fantasy wise for my personal teams.
Me either.
But I certainly gave out some good advice to others, and they reaped the benefits. So
Gotta stop doing that.
no, it's share the wealth. Fantasy's a fun time, and a little background on us here. We run Tom and I are in the same league. I run the league, and it's pretty intense. We actually hold a draft combine where we run the 40-yard dash. We have some eating contests. It's a lot of fun.
Drinking contest.
Yeah, that too. That never hurts either.
It doesn't.
So, yeah, a lot of fun. But we get really into it, and I give out a lot of fantasy advice weekly, which I will continue to do, and Tom will as well on this show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to it, Tom?
Oh yeah, it'd be a fun time.
A lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to that August, early September area.
Great. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just as long as we all have fun, and if we're providing any type of value to the listener, all the better.
As long as they're not in our league.
Good advice. Yes. Yeah, got to keep our league away from listening.
That is true.
Okay, so after the Super Bowl, the NFL's offseason kicked off, and for the casual football fan, probably not the most exciting thing, but if you're really into football, you have the combine and then free agency and
football year round.
Absolutely, it's a year-round circus nowadays.
It is.
So the combine came up. Had a lot of fun watching it this year. It's always fun to watch the combine when running backs, receivers, and corners are pretty deep.
Yeah.
Not to mention safeties.
And no matter how, I'm not going to say trash, but how not very good the quarterbacks are, it's still okay to watch them.
Yeah, not a lot of nice things being said about the current crop of quarterbacks.
But you never know, though. You can't just say they're going to be bad.
Were you particularly impressed by any quarterbacks during this year's scouting combine? I know I was. I'll certainly plug for two guys that I thought had a really good combine at quarterback.
I mean, I know you're going to disagree, but for everything that's going on, how much pressure he has, I do think Mitchell Trubisky, I did think he had a nice showing. He definitely had some flaws, but it's what do you expect from a one-year starter?
Yeah, I'm always concerned about one-year starters. Certainly, if I was ever a general manager, that's how you lose your job there.
You have to take a real hard look at that.
Yeah, I'm not high on Mitchell Trubisky, and that's Mitchell, right? Not Mitch.
I made sure I said Mitchell.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. But it's easy to be an armchair quarterback sitting in a podcast studio.
It is.
I was particularly impressed by two guys who aren't really highly touted. Mm-hmm. One of them being Trevor Knight. He'll likely be a late round pick, but he certainly had a good combine. He showed out athletically, without a doubt. He ran the fastest 40 of any quarterback, and he hardly missed a throw, and he participating in his drills. It was good to see.
Yeah.
The other quarterback.
Oh, I know who you're going.
You know where I'm going. I'm an avid fan of the Tennessee Volunteers, and Joshua Dobbs had himself a good combine. He
doesn't have eyebrows.
That's factually accurate. But it was good to see Josh Dobbs have a lot of throws on the money. I'm a big fan. Josh Dobbs was an aerospace engineer, so he's a smart guy. I look forward to seeing him get drafted, probably somewhere in the 4th and 5th round. But I think he could be a developmental prospect. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him land in like Kansas City.
Yeah, if he goes to the right place, he could have a nice, solid career.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Kind of reminds me, UCLA's quarterback, Rosen, just a little more athletic. Mm-hmm. But they both have slim frames.
Yeah.
So pretty tall guys, slim frame. Maybe Dobbs can add some weight.
Yeah, he definitely needs to bulk up a little bit to stay in this league.
Yeah. So look forward to seeing that. In addition to that, like we talked about a bit, Combine's pretty exciting when all your position players are showing out. How about the wide receivers?
You can't go wrong with John Ross.
John Ross,
breaking the record.
Fastest human.
I mean, millions of people have talked about it, but what's there not to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of hard to imagine where I kind of see John Ross in the late, maybe 10 at the best, or somewhere between 10 and 20.
Mid first round.
Yeah. If not for the injury, he has an issue with his labrum, I believe.
Yes.
If not for the injury, it could probably be a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a potential there that Washington, in that area, the Redskins, they could potentially replace Deshaun Jackson with a faster wide receiver. That's nuts. Hard to believe.
Yeah. He's a better route runner than Jackson too.
That's accurate. At least from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Being from the area. We're not always too keen on Deshaun. And I was a little worried that he might come back on the wrong side of 30, but kind of worked out for us here in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got some solid help out in your receiving course. So
we did. We improved a bit.
I don't think you can be too angry about not laying Deshaun if you're a Deshaun fan.
Yeah. Not for the price. Yeah. Eagles were a little tight on the cap this year. Circling back to the Combine, if we want to kind of maybe run through a couple more positions here. Running backs you were impressed with? Anything stand out there?
I mean, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
Seeing him in the passing drills.
Yeah.
Just a natural catcher.
Yeah, that's a good quality to have in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Pass happy and points galore. I'm curious to see, McCaffrey really seems just like a New England type of player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he they don't have a first round pick anymore, so.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Unless they trade.
You got Malcolm Butler floating out there for potentially a first round pick, or of course that Jimmy G hiding back there on the depth chart. So we will see. They're claiming to not want to trade him at all, but everybody has a price.
Yep, everybody has a price.
Exactly. It is a business. So me personally, for running backs, I'm going to stump for
another Tennessee player.
And you are not wrong. I'm going to stump for Alvin Kamara. I'm going to go on record and say I think that Alvin Kamara will be the best running back in this draft class. He is a freak. The guy
got the potential.
Yeah, he's the most agile running back I've seen in quite some time, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean it's a very deep running back class. You got 4 to 6 guys that could all have decent NFL careers.
Yeah. I mean, you have, I think, as many as 5 could end up going in the first round. Yeah. That's pretty intense. Yeah. It's a big comeback for the running back position.
Oh yeah. It's definitely becoming a priority again.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too to see a guy like Leonard Fournette, who's not as much of a pass catcher.
Yeah. Being
talked about as the best running back in this class.
And he's the best running back if talking about from like the 90s era. He's that guy you give it 25 times a game.
Yeah, he's a Jamal Lewis type running back. Yeah. Hey, Jamal Lewis had a 2,000-yard season. That certainly helps teams.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Cowboys last year.
Oh boy.
And 2014, DeMarco Murray.
Oh, bringing it back.
I'm just saying, 2 great performances by 2 different running backs got the Cowboys to the playoffs.
Yeah. Then what did they do after that?
Hey, in 2014, they won a game.
That's good. What was that? Tony Romo's second career playoff win?
That is a fact. That's his second career playoff.
His first career playoff win was against the Eagles. So
for the 3rd time that year.
Good for you. Okay, another position we're looking at in the scouting combine this past year. Really impressed by the corners. Kind of a shame. A couple of guys have gotten hurt since then. You had Sidney Jones go down. He was probably the best. Yeah. He was probably the best straight up corner in this draft. Big guy, fast, playmaker. Would have been great.
Long arms.
Yeah. Would have been great to see him play his rookie year, but that looks like it's probably out of the question now. Where do you think his value lies now that he's out for the year?
I could still see him. I mean, there'll be teams who can be patient with him. Give him a year, maybe a 2nd round pick.
Yeah. I think he falls somewhere in the 2nd and 3rd.
Just the potential of his play is too good to pass up.
Yeah. He, look at Marcus Peters in Kansas City, a very similar player.
Yeah.
from same school.
Mhm.
So, certainly worth an investment. I look back at, remember Michael Bush when he broke his leg in college?
Mhm.
And he still went in the top 4 rounds, I believe.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check
I mean,
that.
it's definitely not. You shouldn't have a cornerback needy team going after that guy, but
Yeah.
maybe somebody that already has a guy or two in place.
I mean, you really never know, though. Look at Dallas last year. They took a chance. Was that the second round?
Yep, Jalen
Jalen
Smith.
Smith, Notre Dame linebacker.
Hmm.
So he sat out his whole rookie year, and we'll see what happens with him. Of course, you have Lattimore, the running back from South Carolina, who went to San Francisco, never played it down. Sidney Jones' injury is not quite that serious, but you never know. In addition to that,
I mean, you don't want to use a first-round pick on a guy that's not going to play that year.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Very, very rare.
Happens. Dante Fowler got hurt.
Yeah, Kevin White.
Yeah, I mean, it's different if they get hurt after, but you don't really
Yeah.
want to spend that first-round pick on a guy that's not going to play.
It's tough. It'd be tough to replace that production. First-round picks are so rare, and you so rarely hit on them. You got to make them count.
I mean, usually no more than half the guys in the first round are actually
Yeah,
good
it's
NFL
difficult.
players.
certainly don't envy general managers when they make the wrong pick.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
because that's another thing that can get you fired very easily.
Very quickly. Yeah, in addition to that, I'm going to stump for yet another Tennessee Volunteer. Cam Sutton, corner from Tennessee. I think he's a really good, versatile player. He's played safety, he's played corner, he's played in the nickel, so he's a little bit of everything, and I think he's about a third-round player.
So if you can get production.
Absolutely. Team's looking for a value corner in the third round. Cam Sutton.
I mean, nowadays, you got so many teams building through the draft. I mean, pretty much anybody drafted fourth or earlier is expected to make some type of impact
Absolutely.
immediately.
Yeah, it's a lot different than it used to be. I remember the late 90s, early 2000s, and you'd draft a guy in the fourth round, not expect him to play for 3-4 years. But, times change. Guys really weren't making impacts until their second contract, and now you're trying to capitalize on everyone's rookie contract because of the wage scale.
I mean, look how Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, Russell Wilson on basically
making less than $1 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference on what you can do with your team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, you're shelling out money for your good defensive players, and
that'll help.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, those are probably the deepest positions.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about how underwhelmed I was by the offensive linemen.
I see maybe 2-3 guys most going in the first round, which is a lot lower than usual.
Absolutely, and I honestly don't think any lineman will go in the top 15.
Yeah.
I think Ramczyk has a chance out of Wisconsin. I think he has a chance. Bowles out of Utah. And I think Forrest Lamp, the guard.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd also throw Robinson in there a little bit,
Robinson,
too.
Yeah.
You got maybe you got 4 or 5 good guys, but then after that, there's really no big names, not a lot of depth guys.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting because you see the tackles, the caliber of tackles that got paid big bucks this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty.
I mean, you got
Russell
Whitworth.
Okung got a pretty big deal. Whitworth is in his mid 30s.
He's a good tackle, but I mean, he's getting up there.
Yeah, he's getting up there, and he signed with a rebuilding team, which is surprising. So he must
good for them, but
maybe
not the best choice for him.
Maybe he has intentions of playing until he's 40. You never know.
Never know. People do it.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be tough. Ricky Wagner got paid like an all-star.
He did.
He's essentially a one-year starter. It's gonna be tough. Teams like you look at some of the more recently dominant teams. You look at Seattle. They have the youngest offensive line in the NFL.
There was obviously a weakness for them last year.
No, big time. Russell Wilson got beat up pretty bad, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. They really need help, and they didn't find much in free agency so far.
I mean, they don't really have the money to.
That doesn't help either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then same story with Denver. Denver really struggled on the offensive line this past year.
Oh, yeah.
Really affected their pass game, their run game.
Okun was there. Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Okun.
He didn't do much, but then he just, like you said, just got a big contract.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Denver does.
I think teams are realizing how shallow the draft is in offensive linemen, so they're shelling out big bucks for the guys in free agency.
Yeah. I'm also worried that that's a trend of things to come. You look at these spread offenses, I really think that is a big reason why these offensive linemen are struggling to transition to the game. they're not used to different protections and things like that.
Oh,
They're in a spread. The ball's out of the quarterback's hands in 5 seconds.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be difficult. It'll be interesting to see. I know I look at Seattle and I say they really think Tom Cable is Superman.
He's definitely one of the better O-line coaches in the league.
Absolutely.
But he can only do so much.
Yeah. So it'll be tough to see the next coming years. Kind of the same conversation that was had about quarterbacks in the past 6-7 years about the spread system quarterbacks, or even going back to 2005 with Alex Smith. So
he was a late bloomer.
You could say that again. Yeah. So anyway, that was the scouting combine. It's always an exciting time of the year for people that really get into football.
Oh, yeah. People like me who love NFL, not really huge into college football. It gives you a chance to kind of see those guys that are coming in.
Oh yeah.
Giving you an idea.
It gives you hope for the future.
Yeah.
You see these young kids that are. It's kind of weird to say that they're younger than me now, but
same here.
yeah, these guys between the ages
about
of
my age or
19
younger.
and 24 for the most part, and they're coming in. It's changing their lives and their families' lives, and it's nice to see. And it's heartwarming, and a lot of guys come from pretty interesting stories and things like that. But it's also exciting to say, you can sit there and watch that and say, man, wouldn't that guy look good in green and silver,
or white and blue?
Well, I don't think anyone looks good in white and blue.
Everyone looks good in white and blue.
We'll see. So, really exciting stuff. Really looking forward to the draft. Obviously, the Eagles made some splash last season, trading away Bradford to get a first-round pick back with the draft here in Philly.
Good move.
So, for those, if I hadn't mentioned it, those who don't know, we are based in the Philadelphia area, so it'll be nice for us to go up to the draft and kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to it. Anywho. After the combine, about a week later, kicks off the next frenzy in the NFL offseason. What would that be?
That's free agency frenzy.
Free agency frenzy. Good times, unless you're a Cowboy. You guys retained Kellen Moore. Big things.
And Terrence Williams.
How many years did he get?
4, I believe.
4-year deal for Terrence Williams. Good for you.
Hey, keeps that continuity for Dak Prescott. Familiarity is one of the most underrated aspects of football.
There you go. You're not wrong. A lot of guys, you look at a guy like Jay Cutler, who is a free agent with really not much of a market for himself.
He's got really one place, or actually not even, because they just signed the McCown.
The Jets brought in McCown, and the rumor was that they had some interest in Cutler, but
the only other 2 teams who really need quarterbacks are Houston and Denver, and he's not going back to Denver.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Denver's necessarily in need of a quarterback. I think they're just in need of Romo. I think that first round investment in Paxton Lynch, and I don't know. It'd be difficult for them to go after a guy like Cutler, especially considering he used to play there.
Yeah. Obviously, it's different regimes and everything like that.
The messy divorce with Josh McDaniels is long gone, but we'll see what happens. There's the rumors out there of his retirement. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and say 3 of my favorite big time signings and 3 of my not so favorite. Let's see what you think about them.
We'll see.
Okay. One of my absolute favorite signings, Steph Gilmore to the Patriots.
Big signing, especially. Obviously there's the rumors out there of Malcolm Butler getting traded,
Absolutely.
But if they can, they have really no reason not to keep him.
Yeah.
They have the money and everything like that, so if they can keep them together,
Gilmore and Butler could be pretty scary.
Patriots got better than what they were when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's side note, Brandon Cooks, that guy's pretty good.
And retaining Hightower. Yeah,
big thing. You had the reports that Hightower wanted to remain all along.
Oh yeah.
I thought he would have been an excellent fit for Oakland, probably soon to be Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So Steph Gilmore, he seems like a Patriot way type player, and Belichick goes after certain guys. He went after Hogan 2 consecutive years, finally got him. That made a big difference.
Yeah, he was definitely he didn't put up the crazy big numbers, but when Brady needed someone to go deep, that's who they called on.
Yeah, big time game in the playoffs. But yeah, Gilmore's a physical cover guy. I remember back when he's coming out, I was desperately hoping the Eagles would draft him. Didn't quite work out that way.
I was
So,
hoping the Cowboys would sign him, but we don't have the money to do that. So
yeah, I think, and I think when that signing happened, it really signaled the end of Logan Ryan's Patriots career.
Yeah.
So he ended up
Which
moving,
is,
he ended up moving on.
Also, a solid signing by the Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Logan Ryan. He's actually a Jersey native.
Yeah.
He's a big time Sixers fan, so much respect there.
Yeah. All the respect.
Yeah.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Another signing that I loved, Kevin Zeitler, the guard from the Bengals, switching over to the Browns, staying in state, going to the rival.
Good player, but I feel like the price tag was a little high. I mean, obviously, someone like Cleveland probably has to shell out a few more bucks.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal. Good news though, we have the Bucks.
That is true.
They have a couple few dollars.
They do. One or too many.
Yeah. So it's interesting that so many people are saying, man, the Browns are making some good signings. Doesn't happen quite often.
It doesn't. Not many people usually want to go there.
There's a signing in recent memory that still stands out like a sore thumb. Dwayne Bowe. Yeah. So,
didn't he only like catch one ball there or something like that? One touchdown?
I'd have to look it up, but it's
He
crazy.
was not good.
I mean, just the fact that they get a big time guard who's going to help solidify that line for whoever's getting murdered back there to hopefully not get murdered back there in the Browns offensive backfield.
I know you're not a huge fan, but I think it really helps out Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah. You're right that I'm not a huge fan. But it would be nice to see Cleveland turn that ship around because of what that franchise has meant to the NFL. You know, you go back to the Jim Brown days, but also they have Joe Thomas, which it would just be so nice to see him win. You know, more than 6 games.
I'm surprised he hasn't tried to get out of there yet.
Yeah,
I mean, that's true loyalty right there.
That is absolutely the definition of loyalty. I don't know that I'd be able to stay on a losing team for that long.
Yeah.
Another signing that I absolutely loved, Calais Campbell to the Jags.
That is a big one.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously they just signed Jackson to a big contract last year, but you can't pass up on a player of Campbell's caliber.
Yeah, he really reminds me of a little bit bigger version of Richard Seymour. I know that's weird to compare a guy who's been in the league for so long to another guy, but he's a mammoth of a human being.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that he brings just a level of professionalism that Tom Coughlin's looking for down there in Jacksonville to kind of bring back the glory days of the early Jags.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely needed some help up front. I mean, they have a very good young secondary, but
I think they have a good core.
Yeah, their front seven definitely could have used another one or two players, and Campbell definitely helps out there.
Absolutely. It's also really good to see the Jags 2 consecutive years getting in on free agency, whereas they've been for so long kind of the kicked around. You know, similar to what you mentioned about the Browns having to pay a little extra. You know, the Jags were there a few years ago, and now they're really starting to bring in some guys that are making a difference.
Yeah.
If not for Bortles' inconsistency last year, you know, they could have been a playoff team.
Yeah. Supposedly he's went and tried fixing his mechanics a little bit, so
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. So then switching gears there, going from favorite or 3 signings that I really liked to 3 that I really disliked. I think first and foremost, Mike Glennon to the Bears. Such an interesting signing. It kind of feels like they're selling their franchise on Mike Glennon. That just sounds weird.
It doesn't really give you too much optimism.
Doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy.
It doesn't.
I'll tell you that much. I
mean, he hasn't been particularly bad in his career, but he's nothing special.
Yeah, he's a really tall, lanky guy.
I mean, I personally would have kept Brian Hoyer if I could have.
Absolutely. You know, Hoyer pretty much lit it up.
He did.
Hoyer had some pretty good games for the Bears.
Yeah, obviously, every time it seems like he's going to start playing good, he gets hurt.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to... availability is a key factor in an NFL player's career. But, I mean, on our blog on dbcfootball.com, I actually typed up a little bit about my 5 favorite and 5 least favorite signings, and I want to kind of just read an excerpt from what I put on there. So I feel for you Bears fans. You finally got out of that toxic relationship with Jay Cutler and got instantly set up on a blind date with Napoleon Dynamite. Mike Glennon. So we'll see what happens. I certainly feel terrible if I was a season ticket holder for the Bears to go see 16 games
they have a good young team.
Yeah, Jordan Howard had a great year.
He did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was number 2 in rushing.
Yeah, so Jordan Howard looks like he's going to be a pretty good player.
Yeah. I mean, their defense has some players that can are difference makers.
I'm just curious who Mike Glenn is going to throw the ball to.
I mean, Meredith.
Cameron Meredith,
He's
ladies
solid.
and gentlemen.
I mean, Kevin White's nothing special.
People are rushing to Google right now. Anyway, staying on that same
Zach
note.
Miller.
Staying on that same note, Alshon Jeffrey, wide receiver to the Eagles, signing that I'm not happy about at all. You will grow to know over time that I'm a passionate Eagles fan, and I'm furious about the signing. I don't think Alshon Jeffrey is very good, and that's nothing. These aren't personal opinions of the people. It's just teams don't let number one receivers leave for no compensation.
That's true.
Now,
I mean, just like the parameters of the deal, I personally think it was a good signing for the Eagles. This is one of those things. If it doesn't work out, they can get out of it.
Yeah. Still, you're if it doesn't work out, you're wasting a year of chemistry between Wentz and the potential number one receiver for the future. So, it's frustrating to me. In the last 2 seasons combined, you know how many touchdowns Alshon Jeffrey has?
I don't.
6. 2 seasons.
It's not very good.
It's not very good. It's another thing between getting suspended and getting hurt. You got to be available.
That is true.
So, I'm very excited about Wentz and the future of the Eagles, but I'm not very excited about Alshon Jeffrey.
I just feel like it was a very, low risk, high reward type signing.
Yeah, it's just interesting that the Bears didn't put up a bigger fight if they really thought he was a number one receiver. Now, granted, they'll get a compensatory pick next year, but that at max, it's a 3rd rounder, probably a 4th.
Yeah, probably. It might be like a 5th round because I think it's based on what type of salary they get.
Yeah, so it's going to be difficult. There's also they factor in how many snaps they played for your team the previous season. One more signing that I'm not overly keen on: AJ Boye to the Jaguars.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about those 1-year wonder corners. So you look at the Eagles; they've been burnt a couple of times on high-priced corners in free agency, and a lot of teams have. A lot of teams have been burnt there. So, and specifically, I was mentioning Nnamdi Asomugha and Byron Maxwell.
To be fair, Asomugha wasn't a 1-year wonder.
Yeah. No, I just meant in terms of being burnt.
Okay.
On the free agent market by corners.
I remember that because I was so angry that the Cowboys didn't get them. Cause
yeah,
I remember
they were in negotiations.
They were like one of the last few teams that had the chance for him. Then the Eagles came out of nowhere. Like, it almost looked like he was going to the Dallas. And then Philly came out of nowhere.
There was even a headline on ESPN that he was close to a deal with the Cowboys. I actually saved a screenshot of that I keep.
I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah, very different system from what he played in Oakland here in Philly at the time. But yeah, AJ Boye, he got a big old deal from the Jags. It's a little difficult. I think that they could probably have gotten a top 2 corner in this year's draft if they wanted to continue to build that secondary and save a lot of money.
That is true, but at the same time, they're also taking a key player away from a division rival.
Yeah. Color me skeptical is all I'll say. It's
understandable.
The guy hasn't really done much. Again, this isn't personal against anyone, but it's tough that's a lot of money for a guy who's really only had a little less than a year of primetime playing.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So moving on from there, is there any signings that stick out to you? Like, give me a favorite and a least favorite signing.
I'll give you 2 that I like.
Okay.
Martellus Bennett to the Packers.
Nice. It's a good one.
Obviously, he misses some games here and there, but there's not many like elite tight ends in the league right now. And I feel like, especially with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, he could be an elite tight end. It gives him that good big presence down the middle or even in the red zone. And I feel like he's a guy that could easily catch 8-12 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I'm a big fan of the Bennett brothers. I think they're awesome. Right. And Martellus he's an exceptional player.
Oh yeah.
The black unicorn.
But number 2, I mentioned this one to you before, Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead to Baltimore.
Okay. I feel like that gives them a good out of the field or out of the backfield.
I just hope he stays healthy.
Yeah. I mean, with Dixon getting that 4-game suspension slapped on him.
Low key, too. It really wasn't talked about by many people.
People talked about it for like a day or 2, and then it wasn't even on NFL.com anymore.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I think it definitely gives them that added presence out of the backfield that they haven't really had the last couple of years.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't disagree with those at all, Tom.
Yeah.
I think those are going to be pretty good signings. It's always difficult because teams that win free agency don't typically translate to playoff success.
I mean, a rare instance was the Giants last year.
Yeah,
All those players that they signed.
Janoris Jenkins, Snacks Harrison.
Yep, they all ended up playing well together.
And they have there's a rumor that the reason Jonathan Hankins hasn't left is because he's actually trying to figure out a way to make it work in New York.
Oh yeah,
and being
scary.
Less than 25 years old.
I mean, it's the one team Cowboys couldn't beat last year, and it's because that defense.
Yeah, how many defensive tackles that are pure defensive tackles get 7 sacks in a season?
It doesn't happen very often.
It's pretty rare. One last little topic on free agency. My favorite value free agent signing. A guy that didn't make as much money that I think could turn out to be a big-time player. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go back to the well to a former Tennessee Vol.
Of course you are.
Of course I am. I'm actually really excited about Michael Rivera to the Jags.
Yeah? I think he's
definitely
a decent tight end.
Very underutilized player. Comes from a very athletic family. Sister's an Olympic athlete.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Rivera, man, I think he's going to be a good fit with the Allen brothers and Keith Lee really taking on a bigger role. There's going to be a lot of room in the middle of that field.
I feel like the last couple of years with Julius Thomas, I mean, I feel like he was definitely a product of Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He's kind of lazy, doesn't really come out of his breaks very fast.
Yeah.
And another availability, he's not always there.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So I feel like that was a good
move.
switch for.
Yeah, they shipped Thomas off to Miami.
Yeah.
And brought in Michael Rivera. So I think Mercedes Lewis, Iron Man, still kicking.
Your prototypical vet.
Yeah.
In the league.
Yeah, so I think it gives Michael Rivera the opportunity to really prove himself in this league and go Vols.
Yeah.
So that's what's been going on in the league so far this offseason. We have the combines in the books. We got a lot of the pro days going on.
Oh, yeah.
We're pretty excited about that. We got the draft coming up in Philly. We'll be there.
We're about, I think, a month away tomorrow.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff. A month away. This is being recorded on March 26th.
Yes, it is.
So a lot of fun. We're excited to see it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Be sure to check us out. You know, we're just getting started, but we have a website. I mentioned it earlier, DBC Football, dbcfootball.com. Go on there, check out our blog, check out our podcasts, check out our photo galleries, or our contact info is also on there. From the site, you can also access our Instagram at DBC_football. Same thing on Twitter. We're on the tweets at DBC_football. We have Tom here handling our social media. You can also find our podcast on YouTube at DBC_football. So pretty excited. DBC, of course, again, down by contact. So we're really excited. Go check us out. Share us. Tell your friends. We'll give you some pretty sound football advice, I swear. Just my opinion.
I think we're capable.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. This is just something that we enjoy. We enjoy talking about football so much that we decided to kick off this podcast. We're just going to have some fun and see if you guys can get some value out of it.
Hopefully you guys like it.
Absolutely. So with that, I guess we're going to sign off of episode 1.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, check us out. Subscribe to our podcast. Share it with your friends. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, whatever you want to find where you get your podcasting from. So check us out. Tell your friends. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, thank you.